So good morning, everyone. How are you? Welcome to First Things First. It is your daily cybersecurity threat briefing. My name's Gerald Auger, and basically every single morning of the week, Monday through Friday, we are breaking down the podcast at CISOseries.com, their daily cybersecurity headlines. We're going to listen to a story together. Then I'm going to give you my reflection and analysis. I've been working in the industry about 17 years. I operate as an information security officer now, so I've got some thoughts, got some opinions, and hopefully you can find this stream useful and beneficial for you as you go about your day, or if you're looking to learn more about cybersecurity, an excellent way to do it. I do want to say what's up to a couple people. Hey, Chris. Hey, BSEC. Good to see you always, Chris Frazier. Special shout out to the international community. I got some great messages yesterday. Nick in Malaysia, I appreciate you staying up till 9 p.m. To listen to the broadcast right now. Nigeria, UK, you guys are fantastic. I love that you're choosing to spend some time with the community. All right, so let's get into the program, right?
From the CISO series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
It's Thursday, December 16th, 2021. Log4j vulnerability used by APTs. Microsoft and the security firm Mandiant report they've observed groups with ties to China, Iran, Turkey, and North Korea launching attacks with the exploit. This includes the China-backed group that was responsible for widespread attacks on Exchange servers earlier this year. These appear to be both tests of a vulnerability's effectiveness as well as actual attacks against targets. Checkpoint Research reported it's seen almost 600,000 attempts to use the vulnerability since disclosure. In related news, CISA ordered all federal civilian agencies to patch Log4j by December 24th. Attacks on web apps.
Okay, so no surprise here, right? That to be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised that some of these nation-state threat actors did not already have access to this awareness of this vulnerability, since it technically has been around since, I want to say, 2013, 2016 timeframe. It was disclosed in a paper at a conference. So surprisingly, they didn't have it already. But what's not surprising is, if you think about it for a second, these nation-state threat actors, whether it's the United States or China or Iran or North Korea, like whatever, the players that have dedicated resources who do this, it's what they did when they got to work on Monday morning. They had their coffee, they did first things first with us, and then they went into a briefing and they said, hey, listen, guys, we got Log4j. I want to see tooling by the end of the day, right? So like, this is what they do. So I'm not surprised that not only is there tooling and attacking out there, but there's an amplification. They said something like 600,000 attacks already. Now, so this isn't surprising. There's also talk, get ready for this one, in some circles about watching this get wormed, meaning that once it gets into the network, it starts looking around and moving on its own and just kind of going buck wild on the network versus requiring some interaction from an operator. That could happen. John Strand said in his podcast or his broadcast on Monday, which is excellent if you guys want to check it out, Black Hills Information Security Talking News on Monday of this week. He said that it would be silly for a threat actor to want to worm the Log4j vulnerability because advanced persistent threats, they like to be quiet. They like to get in and infiltrate and do espionage and then wait for the moment to announce themselves, if they're ever going to announce themselves, versus being kind of a big, loud smash and grab situation. So you wouldn't see the worming coming from that group. Now, what's also interesting is, I don't know if you caught it at the end, but the U.S. government has dictated, CISA said that they want Log4j patched in all federal IT systems by December 24th. You may be holding your belly chuckling right now, because that is an insanely tall order to fill. We don't even know where Log4j is exactly in all these different applications baked in and stuff like that. Yeah, we have some tooling now in order to scan and find these Log4j's instances, but to have it completely resolved or remediated by Christmas Eve, That sounds really hard. Even if you knew where they all are, it's not like you can just snap your fingers and there you go. So we'll watch how this one develops. Okay.
According to research by the security firm Imperva, attacks on web apps in the UK increased 250% since October 2019, fueling the surge in data breaches seen during that time. The report found that remote code execution and remote file inclusion attacks have similarly grown 271% in that same period. The growth of attacks doesn't appear to be slowing down either, with web app attacks up 68% on the quarter in Q3.
Yeah.
Meta expands
no surprise here, guys. Like the web apps are basically internet facing, right? So that means anyone in the world can hit them. Tooling is good, education is good, skills are developing, more people are putting more effort into it. Burp Suite is awesome, right? Like it doesn't surprise me that web apps are being attacked more. They're great footholds into getting access to data. They're great footholds if it's hosted by the organization themselves. So not surprising to see this, quite frankly. I would be interested to see, honestly, a comparison of web app attacks versus general network attacks versus, social engineering kind of human attacks, because I would suspect that they're all up. Yes, 251 for web apps is, kind of a splashy number, but I bet you they're all up, just, having worked in the industry and feeling it. So
bounty program to include scraping. This will see Meta pay security researchers who discover workarounds to its existing anti-scraping protections, even if the data is public. Meta will also pay out for researchers who find data from previous scraping attacks, although this will only be for unique datasets not previously reported. These datasets must also include over 100,000 user records and include personal information. Meta will pay to a charity of the researcher's choice for scraped data to avoid researchers trying to get paid twice for scraping loopholes and then for the data they might exfiltrate themselves using it.
Okay. So a couple things here. One, I guess good on Facebook. I'm not a Facebook user, really, although I am broadcasting live to Facebook. So if you're watching this on Facebook, what's up? But this is kind of interesting that Facebook is paying in order to kind of promote and ensure privacy of their users' data from being scraped. I know that there is a lot of I guess OSINT tools that are doing this scraping. There's a really scary looking kind of Google search image. It's not Google. I think it's called Clearview AI. That is basically out of China, that has this gigantic database of people's pictures, and they can cross correlate and stuff like that. So appreciate that Facebook's doing this. I found it interesting that they said they're going to pay so the researcher doesn't find the bug and scrape and then isn't going to sell the data that they scrape. Like, that's an interesting concern. I wouldn't think that someone who found the bug and reported it to Facebook would also turn around and try to sell the data, which is kind of more on the gray or the black hat side of things, kind of the dark web stuff. So I don't know, but maybe I'm just being naive that you only sell data on dark web right now. Data is the new gold, so I'm sure there's places to sell it. All right, let's continue on. Good for Facebook.
Middo COO departs after surveillance allegations. We previously reported that the Swiss text forwarding company Middo AG had come under fire for allegedly operating a secret surveillance service that was sold to government agencies. This had reportedly been operated by a small team within the company, led by co-founder and COO Ilya Gorlik. Now Middo says that Gorlik is no longer with the company. It's unclear if this is a permanent change and if he left of his own accord. He is still listed as a member of Middo's leadership team, and Swiss records still list him as a board member. Middo said it's investigating the allegations and denies ever having operated a separate business, division, or entity that provides surveillance services.
Okay, so let me get my hot pepper soapboxer going on. Listen, okay, so basically what they just said is this guy got fired, some executive, for abusing the access to the data that his company had. Like text messages are coming through, you can look at them, you can sell access to them, you can do a million other things. Can we please point out when, and this might be an anti-popular opinion, like when the FBI wanted Apple to put backdoors into their phones, and it's like, we'll only use it for good. I'm telling you, if you put capabilities in, yeah, you might have great intentions and altruism today, but the next person in that seat might, or it could be you, and your situation changes. You get in financial dire straits, you get greedy, you get thirst for power, right? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And when you give access to these systems with no oversight, these things happen. And this dude got his hand caught in the cookie jar. What's interesting is he left the company, but he's still listed on all the documentation as part of the company. I don't know. That could be something that it takes time to process the paperwork and pay him out so he can't sue the company for shares and all this stuff. I don't understand the financial side of business really. But what I'm telling you is when as long as there's things like this, it's going to happen. We saw the same thing when Amazon was outsourcing um, Echo recordings and Ring doorbell stuff to Ukraine, which is fine. More power to Ukraine. They're having a tough time right now. So, you know, thoughts go there, but it could have been anywhere. And the people in the call center or whatever you want to call it, like the outsourced capability, were going through and listening to the recordings, watching the videos because they could. There was nothing stopping them from doing that. And this is going to happen time and time again. So I'm glad that this dude got his hand caught in the cookie jar and got slapped really hard. It bothered this. I'm fine. I'm cool. We're cool. Let's keep going.
And Apple removes mention of CSAM program. Apple removed mention of its announced program to scan iCloud photos for child sexual abuse materials from its child safety webpage. Apple announced it would indefinitely delay the feature back in September, following concerns from privacy and security researchers. An Apple spokesperson confirmed that while it did remove mention of the program, Apple's plans for it have not changed since September, meaning it remains delayed but not canceled.
All right. I'm not familiar with this. I was wondering if this was the same thing that we talked about yesterday, where they're going to be scanning pictures and being able to tell you if there's nudity in it and then fuzzing them, like literally fuzzing the picture out so a child wouldn't see it. I don't know if this is the same thing or not, but if this is not the same thing, I'm unfortunately I can't comment on it too much. I mean, I'm happy to see that Apple and child safety as kids get more and more basically iPhones in their face, Android devices in their face at younger and younger ages, they are susceptible to compromise. I mean, frankly, they're children, right? They're not thinking through threat actor behavior, especially predators. So I'm happy to see that Apple had a child safety program. I'm going to look into this personally. Being a father of young children, I do want to know what's going on with this. So, anyways, it's weird that they rolled it back. I'm sure that there was some type of going right back to the last one, there's probably some type of thing that someone had access to that was, questionable. When you deal with child sexual abuse, it's a very, very, sensitive topic, obviously, right? Okay, let's continue.
Zoom joins online counterterrorism group. The video
Way to go,
conferencing
Zoom.
stalwart joined the Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism, an independent group whose members share information to combat terrorism and violent extremism. The group was founded in 2017 by Meta, Microsoft, Twitter, and YouTube, growing now to 18 companies this year. Zoom will utilize the group's hash sharing database to help identify content that's been removed from other services.
Okay.
DJI faces more sanctions.
I mean, okay, like good. Basically anti-terrorism. Who's not for that? Who's like pro-terrorism, right? Nobody. So this is good. I mean, they named the big ones, like, they said Meta, they said Google, they said Zoom, which, I mean, in the last 2 years, Zoom has gone from like whatever nascent to a big player in big tech. But it's good to say the big tech ones are doing what they can to for counterterrorism. What I would say is it is a slippery slope, right? Like again, just with like the backdooring of iPhones, yeah, like we can get into a terrorist phone, but like that can be abused. I agree that it's good to see counterterrorism groups, but with all due respect, who gets to decide what content is terrorism and who are terrorists and stuff like that? Like, yeah, it's fairly obvious when it's obvious, but when it's in that gray minutia area, then it turns into suppression of opinion and stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm pro-terrorism. Please do not conflate what I'm saying. What I'm saying is who gets to decide what gets censored, right? Okay. So it's good to see that this is in existence, but I hope that this counterterrorism group has oversight and transparency in what they're doing.
The Financial Times' sources say the U.S. Treasury will add 8 Chinese companies, including DJI, to its Chinese military industrial complex companies list blocking U.S. citizens from investing in the companies. This stems from DJI's alleged involvement in surveillance of Uyghur Muslims in China. The surveillance system producer NetPosa and the cybersecurity firm Xiamen Maya Pico are also expected to be added to the list. The U.S. Commerce Department already named DJI to its entity list, which bars U.S. firms exporting to it without a license.
Okay, so I mean, this is quasi cybersecurity related, I suppose. Basically, what they're saying is, when geopolitical tensions start rising, the ways that you can influence or assert national power is through diplomacy, information to kind of sway the population, military or economic. And this sounds like it's an economical influence where they're basically saying these companies in China, because of what China's doing to the Uyghur population up there, you're not going to be able to invest in them, so they lose the ability to have that financing from the United States, investment individuals, whatever. I don't know how much it's going to influence or affect these companies. Maybe it has a big effect, but I don't know. We'll see. The only thing I think from a cybersecurity or practitioner perspective that is relevant here is if these DJI and the other 7 companies somehow produce cybersecurity content, product, data that you require in order to execute your mission. I'm not aware of any. So I think this is a non-story for us, other than be aware from a geopolitical perspective that the United States is trying to economically assert power on China, which is no surprise, right? There's a lot of tension between, the United States and China.
Internet Association shuts down. The Washington Trade Group did not provide a specific reason for disbanding, although the group had been struggling with financial support since Microsoft pulled out of the group last year. The Internet Association formed 9 years ago and served as a powerful lobbying force for its members, which included Google, Facebook, and Amazon. The group had been experiencing infighting over policy debates as of late, with smaller tech company members wanting a very different line on lobbying on antitrust action versus the big tech members. A lot of the security stories we cover.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not familiar with too much of the lobbying efforts the last 9 years of the Internet Association. I mean, it sounds like it's just a fancy word for a political arm of big tech, which is kind of quasi oligarchish in the United States right now. So if they are shutting down, I would have to imagine that there is some other faction or lobby group that's kind of executing big tech's not priorities, but big tech's interests in Washington, D.C. There's way too much. I mean, Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, so he can kind of control the messaging there. So, again, this Thursday, December 16th, I don't know how much the stories of the day. There's a couple in here, Log4j, web apps attacks, but for most of the parts, these are all kind of peripherally to cybersecurity and the way we do work, which, by the way, in all honesty, we could use a day off, quote unquote, from a massive attack or, something that's just like front page news, right? So, yep. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this 20 minutes doing our stories, doing our analysis. Love seeing you guys in chat. Again, I appreciate all of you taking time. Tom, Jess, I saw you in there. BSEC, as always, strong. Base catching on the replay, West Coast people. Yeah. So, again, the only thing I ask, if you get value out of this, I really appreciate it. I just ask, if you think you know someone who might enjoy this, whether it's getting ready for their day of cybersecurity, practicing, or, if you're a practitioner, you know how important it is to stay abreast of the daily events so you can be informed and do your job more effectively. Share this stream with them. Share this First Things First program with them. I've seen you guys do it. I know Kim has done it. BSEC has done it. Tom's done it. So many of you have done it, and I sincerely appreciate it. So we will head out on the midnight music, and until tomorrow, y'all. And hey, by the way, tomorrow we will be at 8:45. So programming note, we do 8 a.m. every day, 8:45 tomorrow. I got something with my kids at school. Okay. Yes, Andrea, it is every day. Until I also teach at a college on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, but we're out right now until the spring semester begins. So, you're going to get me 5 days a week in your face. Coffee, cyber news. It's a good time.